Okay. For those of you who didn't attend the class, let's go back to this first slide because we didn't cover it in the recording, and just press the recording so that everyone can go back and see. So we just covered the external. We are just covering the external environmental analysis, whereas macro environment, industry, and competitive analysis are going to be discussed. And then we just did go through the macro environmental forces, whereas we have economic, social, cultural, and demographic aspects of the industry, whereas economic is general economy, how the demand, supply, or certain events in the economy are influencing your industry. Social, cultural being the cultural, societal changes in your industry, and demographic being your type of people that you're dealing with. And then these three fall into industry environment, whereas you have threat of new entrants, new people coming into business, and you always have that threat towards your business because whenever you're producing a product, somebody else might come in and produce the same type of product. And then power of suppliers. So certain type of suppliers, whatever product you're using, you need some suppliers to get your supplies from. So those people have certain power, and you need to deal with them, and you can't just ask them to do what you do. There are certain companies like Walmart that they have a very, very big bargaining power over suppliers. So basically suppliers don't have much of a say. Whatever Walmart says, they will just follow because Walmart as a customer is so strong and big, so they won't be able to sort of say no. But most of the time, suppliers have a very big say in your business. And then power of buyers. Your buyers always have some power. They want to buy or not to buy your product. That's very important towards your business. So they not buying your product can just make you go out of business. And then product substitutes, we mentioned what are other alternatives to your product. Whenever there is some other alternatives to your product, you would, you as a customer, you could go towards that other product, and so that will, influence the business. And then intensity of rivalry, we mentioned there's certain type of, companies and industries that they are facing extreme competition. So as I mentioned, internet or computer industry, they have very, very intense competition, and whenever there is a mistake by one, the others will win it over. So it's very important. And then we have the competitor environment aspects, which is the global. I mentioned global. We are living in a global world. Everything that happens in some part of the world, it's not like all days that whatever happens there, it just stays there. It goes all around, and it will affect every single aspect of your economy. So let's say what happened in Libya, for sure, influenced the oil industry and a lot of stock exchange prices, or lots of different businesses that are dealing with oil that are not like just you. There are so many of them. They were all influenced by what happened in Libya. And then technological aspects, what advancements happen in technology would also influence the industry. Some industries go out of business because there are certain type of technologies in action. They were not there when they were there, and they didn't implement those industries, so they will just die out. And then political or legal, like certain legal or political changes would also change your type of business, because they will determine how you do business, because you have to always comply with those rules and regulations. So is there any questions so far? I'm just going to the next slide if there's no questions. You can write down, you could always write down your questions or just speak them out. Okay, Mr. Vyasi, please go ahead. You can talk if you like, or you can just write down your question. Please go ahead. Yeah, we can't hear you, Mr. Riasi, so please write it down. In the meantime, anybody else has a question while Mr. Riasi is writing his question? Oh, okay. Demographic aspect is basically the people because there are certain, I mean, whatever product or service you're providing it to people. So demographic is age groups. Let's say, let's say you're producing certain games, video games, right? So video games, let's say you're producing that game for like Sony corporation, and that game that you're producing have certain age groups, like people from this age to that age, there are those who will buy your product. So that's the demographic of your customers. So basically, by that we mean whatever type of customers or people that are involved. So basically, their age groups, their preferences, all those are demographic aspects. You see. Macro environmental forces, not necessarily. What I said, all of these that you see, they are not part of your inside government. Uh, the question by Mr. Qiyasi, yes, is, as you see, economic, demographic, socio-cultural, global, technological, and legal are all outside your company. That's why we call it macro. So none of them are necessarily inside your company or corporate. I mean, they will change inside of your company, but they are from outside. So the forces are coming from outside. So economic forces. Let's say whenever you are in a country or in a business or in a market, there's an economy surrounding you. So let's say now is a very tough time, like it's downtime for most of the economies. So that's influencing the businesses from outside to inside. So it's not necessarily that the businesses are doing bad, but they are in a bad market already. So that's something external that is, influencing them. Intensity of rivalry means, as I mentioned, some markets and businesses are less intense. The rivalry or competition. Let's say movie industry. There's a very tough competition. You see so many of movie companies or corporations that are involved in media or as I said, computer industry. But there are certain type of industries that are not that intense, or like there are certain trains, like those who do the trains. There are not many of them. There are certain major companies that do, that for transportation and particularly train and subways and undergrounds. So those guys are like certain major companies. So probably the competition is not as intense as the computer industry. So that's what we mean by that. Okay, Mr. Riasi, you're referring to industry environment ones. Industry environment ones, that is also not necessarily internal. So what we see, all those are also coming from outside. So whoever comes in to compete with you is from outside. The power of suppliers are from outside because you're buying the stuff from them. So they are also not inside your company. Power of buyers or substitutes and rival, these are all from outside of your company. None of them are, from inside. So I see that there's still some questions about demographic forces. Okay, demographic forces. Let me explain with just a very clarified example. Let's say you're just creating a business, just a new business, and you're going to provide certain type of TVs. Okay, so televisions. So for your television, you need to provide that product into certain type of age groups, certain type of people with different preferences. Let's say your type of TV is a TV which has a 3D, like three-dimensional, high-definition TV. So there are certain type of age groups that are more interested in type of TV you're providing, mostly like young age groups, that are more into technological aspects of it, and their preferences. So like when you are targeting that group, you should know or should study what are their preferences, what type of look for the TV they would rather or they would prefer, what type of features on the TV they would like. Most of them they probably need some internet connection so that they can use the Wi-Fi on their TV. They like to be able to connect their TV to their computer. So you need those are their preferences, right? So those aspects would definitely influence your business from outside because they're already there and you're targeting that age group with their preferences. So basically, that's what we are talking about. Then can we have a little for legal forces? Okay, legal forces. Very simple example is, let's say there are certain agreements that goes on will change the type of business you do. Let's say you are in Asia, right? So there are certain type of like agreements like ASEAN, which is Asian countries. Some of them, they have an agreement. They have a free trade agreement that has influenced a lot the businesses because like you don't pay taxes for importing and exporting to any of those ASEAN countries. So basically that changes a lot of business. Or NAFTA, like North American free trade agreement, also is the same. Like Canada and the US, they have a free trade agreement, so they pay less taxes or sometimes no taxes to import and export from Canada. So you will buy a product from let's say Canada in US, and it's as if you're buying it in US. So that's what we are talking about, the legal changes. From demographic, we don't necessarily mean population. We are talking about people and with different types of preferences. It could be population is one of the aspects of demographic, but it's not the only one. And intensity of rivalry I already covered. It means that how intense is the competition. So certain type of industries, there's much more intense competition than other type of industries. I mentioned like those companies that provide the transportation, like for trains and subways, there are like only few major companies. But let's say when it comes to computer or internet, there's so many of them, so they're competing much rougher and tougher together. Okay, so if there is no question, in terms of yes, Mr. Ahmadi, to a certain extent, your explanation is correct. Yes, the people or the customers or their preferences, because like as a people, they have so many different aspects to them. Your customers, they have their age groups, their preferences, their cultural stuff. So part of the socio-cultural aspects are reflected in the demographic side. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Shall we move on to the next slides? Okay, I don't see any hands or any questions down there. Okay, so let's go and move forward. So basically, we have general environment. So general environment dimensions in the broader society that influence an industry and firms within it, right? So basically, different dimensions, as I mentioned, we were talking about it in detail. So the general environment that is around you, like the economic, socio-cultural, global, technological, political, and demographic, as I was explaining them. So they will always influence the industry and firms within. So suppose, as you can see, that white spot in within, these surrounding factors always push or pull your business all the time. So basically, whatever type of business that you're dealing with, you're always sort of fighting back with certain type of aspects that are here. So when economy changes, demographic changes, the population changes, or their preferences changes, or the age group you're targeting changes, it'll influence your company. Or the legal, political changes, as I mentioned, like in what happened in Libya, for sure, changes a lot of industries and corporations in Libya or Egypt, or the whole region is on fire or on a changing mode. So the whole political environmental change will influence a lot of businesses. So all these are surrounding businesses and are changing it all the time. So within this environment, general environment that they create, they have a lot of influences on different type of businesses. Then we have industry environment, right? So industry environment, what we mean is set of factors directly influencing the firm and its competitive actions and competitive responses. So as I mentioned, the first three parts, we sort of, dig deeper into that. Like there were like threats of new entrants when new people, new product providers or service providers or corporations are going to become into the environment and then compete against you. I see here a question, what about educational dimensions? Okay, educational dimension, is part of it. It's there within a lot of different different forces that we talked about. So basically, by educational dimension, we would mean, I don't exactly know what particular educational dimension you need, but if you mean like awareness or knowledge is for sure is part of the internal aspect, but as well as the external. So the external would be your demographic. When they become more educated, their preferences changes, and then when their preference change, then it will influence you from the outside. But from the inside, your knowledge and your ability to use that knowledge as a company would also help you to influence back the market, because if you are like technological savvy company, that helps a lot, because you could show that to the customers. Customers will respond to that, will like it, and so basically it goes both ways. But it's not one of the like certain factors and forces here, because it goes like both ways. We are trying to understand how the market from outside will influence the inside. So we are trying to focus on the external forces that will change you from the within or from the outside. So then awareness, yeah, we mentioned awareness too. Then yeah, we covered this in the first slide, and then so I talked about new entrants, the power of suppliers. As I mentioned, like a good example is Walmart. Walmart is a retail industry company, right? So what they do, they just buy from suppliers, and then they basically sell it at a retail store to the customers. So it's like they sell everything from grocery to clothes to whatever you need, you can find in Walmart. So the thing is, they are buying it from the suppliers. So suppliers, in that sense, they have a lot of say. But the thing is, with Walmart, they have been able to implement a lot of supply chain into their own company. So they supply their own product now, or they have because they're so big and there's so many stores. They have to say that they would be able to tell the suppliers how to provide the products, how to do it with what price. But it's not the case for every company. Most of the companies, they don't have that much of a say from the supplier. When the supplier, let's say, if you're publishing books and you're a publisher, and then you need papers and all of the stuff, you have to buy them at the price that the supplier is providing you. You can't just negotiate that much with that. And then product substitute. First, let's go to the power of buyers, and then we will go to the product substitute. So power of buyers, as I mentioned, like buyers has like their decision to buy or not to buy from you are very important also, and they are definitely influencing the market. So like they have a power. If you are selling a product and they are not buying it, so they're using their power to bring you down or make you change or increase your supply or whatever different changes that they want you to make. So they have a say in there. And then product substitutes is when you have different choices for the product. Let's say if you are producing phone, like Apple is producing iPhone, there are so many different other phones available in the market, like BlackBerry or all different types of phone, Samsung, HTC, all those different phones. They are substitutes to your product. So if let's say you're providing it a very expensive price, and its customers won't find value for that price, they would switch to other phones. And then intensity of rivalry, what we mean, as I mentioned, is what the toughness of the competition, like what type of industry you are, basically influences competition. And then we mentioned and talked about competitor environment, like all those other political, global, and technological aspects. So I just go back in here so you can have one last look here. So you see that we covered all of these, and they are very important. Understanding them will help you help you a lot regarding your vision, mission, and your values. So understanding them helps you a lot. From threat to my entrance to the market without proper vision, diminish. Kind of. No, not necessarily. What we mean by threat of new entrants means that when you go to a business, as I mentioned, like Bill Gates' company, when he created the computer company of his, he was the only one. But now there are several different software or hardware companies out there. So the newer or the more competitors in the business, or the chance of them coming into that market, is a threat to you, because it's like, consider like an apple pie, okay? So the market is like that apple pie. So when you go into a business, you get a share of that apple pie. If you're the first one, you get the whole pie. But as long as there will be more coming into that market producing or making the same service you do, they will take a share of your pie. So you always have this threat or fear of new people coming doing the same thing you do, so it will take away your share of the pie, because the market or the pie is always the same. So it's just a matter of what portion of that pie you get. So that's what we mean, the threat of entrants. Okay. So then we will go to analysis of external environments. So by external environments, we talked about general environment. So focus on the future. Mostly the general environment, those aspects that we talked, it's futuristic. You're talking about what's going to happen in the future. Then industry environment is focused on the factors and conditions influencing the firm's profitability within an industry. So those factors that we talked are mostly regarding the industry profitability. And then the competitor environment is focused on predicting the dynamic of competitors' actions, responses, and intentions. So basically, we have these three general tenets of thoughts about environment. So general is about future, what's going to happen in the future. And then industry environment is how the profitability of your business is going to change. And the competitor environment is how your competitors' decisions or changes are going to change your type of business. In Afghan markets, is the threat of substitutes of Chinese phone. Yeah, that's true, Mr. Akmal. Those are substitutes, and they are pretty good, and they are well priced, and people will just go buy Chinese phones instead of like probably you know, different type of phones. And that's a good example. But you know, it's just different for a certain type of product, like a single type of product, like a certain type of phone. There's always even a substitute. It's not even just a general substitute. Your example is more of a general, but even for one single product, like let's say for iPhone 4, there are few different other substitutes. You know, so there are always substitutes for the product. Okay. So opportunities and threats. So basically, if you remember, we talked about SWOT analysis. So SWOT. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. So this opportunity and threats are always from outside of your company. So opportunities and threats, this is a very important concept that I really want you to just you know, focus on and pay attention to, is that what we mean by opportunities or threats is that they are always from outside. You don't have opportunities from the inside. What we mean in the strategy analysis, this is like one of the basic understandings that I want you to, you know, to be aware of, is that by opportunities and threats, we mean stuff that are from outside environment. So opportunities is a condition in general environment that, if exploited, helps the company achieve strategic competitiveness. So it's something from outside, just some chance, like it's a certain time with a certain demographic outside your company, gives you a certain chance to provide a certain product and make like a lot of money, you know. So let's say Netflix is a company here in the United States that what they did, they used that opportunity. People used to go rent movies and DVDs, like the actual DVDs, and this company understood that it's time of change, internet has changed, and people can watch movies online, or, you know, so they came with the idea of, you know, letting you watch movies online and give you sort of, you know, certain account that you could go and watch as many movies as you want online. So that opportunity they used, they made a lot of money, and basically they caused a lot of companies here like Blockbuster or all different type of movie businesses that they would rent out DVDs go out of business because of Netflix, because they used that opportunity. You know, they understood that the demographic, their preferences has changed, and because of that, they reacted so fast to that, and that opportunity helped them to achieve their strategic competitiveness. So basically, they were the first to do that. So all the other late entrants to that type of you know, industry would lose out to you. So that's a very good example. Then threat, a condition in the general environment that may hinder the company's effort to achieve. So threat is, let's say, you know, like Blockbuster or, you know, Redbox. There are two other different type of you know, DVD lender companies. They came up with their machines that you would go you know, rent from their machines. But, you know, so that's a kind of threat, a reaction to Netflix's idea of, you know, renting the movie and you being able to watch movies online. So that's a threat to you. So whatever reaction the other competitors do is a kind of threat to you, to your business. So whatever you do, there will be some reaction from the other side, and that will be a threat to you. So you always have this opportunity and threat together. So opportunity for you, when you use it, could be a threat to some other company, and vice versa. Like when you are faced with a threat, it's definitely some opportunity used by some other company. Any questions so far? Okay. No questions? sometimes when you ask questions or, mention some stuff, that would be a good way for me to understand, that you are there. Hinder means to stop. Hinder a company means stop a company, challenge a company's effort. So that's what we mean by hinder, Mr. Ahmadi. So, yeah, I would welcome more, class participation, or if you want to share your, your ideas. The opportunity and threats are conditional. Yes, they are. They are conditional, and relevant, and you can't just say they are definite, but they always are there, and they're based and relevant to so many different factors in the market. Beautiful. And yes, opportunities and threats are always from outside the company. So that's very important for you to understand, because for your assignments, for example, you're going to use the business strategy plan for your company or whatever company that you want to make. So you need to understand, when you do your SWOT analysis in your assignment, you need to understand, because it's a very common mistake. When I give assignments, the students will give me opportunities or threats that are from within the company. That's wrong. Opportunities and threats, we are talking about the stuff that are from outside the company. So that's very important to understand. Then external environment analysis, so we dig deeper into that. So a continuous process, and it includes scanning. So whenever we are doing analysis, we need to do scanning for every signal or potential changes and trends in the general environment. So basically, what I mean is, you need to be scanning and looking for changes that are happening in your industry all the time. You can't just just be stable and wherever you are. You need to be looking out for those stuff. Is there any questions so far? Please go ahead, Mr. Riyasi. Yes, sure. Please share with us your idea. What is it? What is it missing? Okay, so I don't see your response yet. So let's go ahead with this. Okay, so it's okay. Please go ahead. So what is missing measure part? Okay. In what sense does it, Mr. Measure part? What do you mean? You mean measuring the opportunities and the threats, or? I don't exactly understand your point yet. There's strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Then we have to go. Okay, I see what you're trying to mention. Yes, I see your point. But the thing is, the measurement is all along with SWOT analysis, which means that whenever you're talking about strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats, we are always measuring those stuff. You can't just say that, okay, I want to, mention some opportunities, and you just write some stuff down and say, these are my opportunities. Basically, your opportunities, you have to measure them, and out of measurement, you find those, opportunities or threats. So we are generally talking about them, but in your business strategy plan that you're going to write, or any company when they write their business strategy, we are talking about numbers, So these might look general to you, but we have to be very, very accurate about what we say. So opportunity is not just, let's say, okay, we have this number of population in this certain city that we are doing this business. That's not opportunity necessarily. You need to be exact on what changes on what dates, or what amounts are going to help you, do certain type of business that you want to do. So what I mean here is that all of these four aspects of, SWOT analysis, you need to do measurement. So I used to be involved in a, in a project with a university, helping them, boost up their service. So I helped them using Six Sigma, which is a measurement tool, and by that I did some SWOT analysis for them also, but I was using a lot of measurement tools to look out for opportunities and threats, and strengths and weaknesses. So their strengths and weaknesses, I was measuring them and then finding them out. So always by measuring, you will find out all these. Oh, okay. In what sense did I misunderstood you? Oh, okay. So action plan. Okay, yes, sure. By action plan is the next step, of course, yes. So I believe what you mean is when you find out your SWOT analysis, then the next step is to make them happen, or use the opportunities, react against threats, and then use your strengths, and change your weaknesses, and then move on. Of course, yes, because SWOT analysis will give you a picture of where you are right now, right? But you want to be where you want to be tomorrow. So by just staying at where you are, you won't go anywhere. That's true. So SWOT analysis, the opportunities and threats are basically futuristic, as I mentioned, but your weaknesses and strengths are for now. So you need to reduce or change your weaknesses into a strength, and boost up your strengths to be able to move forward to the opportunities that you measure, and to be able to surmount and go beyond the threats that you're facing. So that's true. Yeah, of course. But without that, you won't be able to do that. I mean, the SWOT analysis is what you need to be able to know where you are right now. So that's a must do, because you can't just go to tomorrow without knowing where you are right now. Okay, very good point, Mr. Yassi. Very good. Anybody else has any other points to mention? Okay. Thinking about business ethics and compliance as if internal management and Mm, mm. Uh, Mr. Muhammad, Khan Muhammad, it's not true, no. That will be part of your weaknesses, which is internal. It wouldn't be your threats. Today the class goes with quite clear voice and understanding everything. Okay, very good. Yes. So, yeah, as I mentioned, please try to understand the differences between these four aspects. I don't mind spending more time on the SWOT analysis so that everybody understands it. So basically, as I mentioned, opportunity and threats are from outside your company. So if there's something inside, let's say what you mentioned, Mr. Khan Muhammad, is your weaknesses from inside. You know what I mean? So your weakness is inside the corporation or the company. So this is very important. Like by opportunity and threat, we are mostly talking futuristic or from outside, but from strengths and weaknesses, we are talking from the inside. So that is very important. Is everybody clear about the SWOT analysis? Are there any questions so far? Okay, I see a hand raised by Mr. Rafa. Please go ahead. What is your question, Mr. Rafa?
Thank you very much. Not particular question, just I want to make sure as regards to this opportunity and threat, to make sure that I and the rest we understand. From my point of view, I think one of the good opportunity that I'm going to give an example for any investor or manufacturing company is in Afghanistan, is the underdeveloped condition of Afghanistan, and the fact that there are a lot to be done, and the demand is big for any company, and also the workforce is very cheap and available. That is an opportunity, and the threat is the worsening security condition which prevails in every corner of the country. That could be a threat also.
Oh, that's very true. Very good example. Yes, the threat, as you mentioned, is the worsening security condition, and there are some opportunities. Sometimes, many times, you would see opportunities. If you look at them at a different angle with different view, they will be threats. You know. So a good example is of Mr. Ford example. I'm sure all of you know about Ford car. You know. So Ford, basically, Mr. Ford started his company. Oh, you don't know about Ford? Okay, Ford is basically one of the first few car industry companies that you know, came into being, and according to that, that's why, I mean, the whole idea of car industry around the world comes from like Germany, and like Ford was one of the major companies that started in the U.S., and they started making cars all around the world. So that's right. And what I mean by that is the time that Ford started their business, it was exactly the time of recession in the United States. So means that there was no businesses. People were going out of business. So when Mr. Ford started his business, he started at the time that it was full of threat. So, but he used the threats to create opportunities out of, you know, out of those. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes it's a lot of how you look at things. Sometimes a threat to some companies would be an opportunity to your company because your approach and attitude is different. That happened with Google as well. Google were, I mean, there were a bunch of college grads, and they were just looking at things and see like Microsoft is the only company that's producing everything, and you know, they were looking at a big threat of only one single corporation producing all the softwares and different internet explorers and everything. So that was a huge threat but they looked at it differently, and they looked at it in the sense that, okay, when they are the only one, so we could be the next, and we could come up with some good strategies to challenge them, and they certainly did. So now Google is so big now that is in itself one of the biggest corporations, challenging Microsoft. So that's very important, how you look at things. Sometimes your weaknesses or strengths are also role played in the same sense. That your weakness might be, in a sense, beginning to a strength to some, futuristic viewpoint of what you're looking at. So be aware of that, and know that it, it, it depends a lot on how you look at things also. So any questions so far? You mean opportunity and threat is condition in environment? No. It's totally different. The opportunity and threat is from outside. Is totally the reverse. Opportunity and threat are from the outside, and the strengths and weakness are from the inside. What I was trying to say is that the two of them, like opportunity and threat, and weakness and strength, they could be the way you look at things. So when you have an opportunity, it could be a threat also, or a threat could be an opportunity, just by the way you look at things. Is everybody clear on this subject? Okay, beautiful. General sense, core competencies. Convert internal. Very, very nice explanation by Mr. Sharifi. Well, he sent it only to me, but I would like to also read it out to everyone. It's beautiful. It's very nice. When an organization matched internal strengths to external opportunities, it creates core competencies in meeting the needs of its customers. In addition, an organization should act to convert internal weaknesses into strengths and external threats into opportunities. Very nice. Beautiful. Very good, Mr. Sharifi. So I just, if you don't mind, I just copy paste it for everyone so that everyone would be able to. So I send it to everyone. It's a very good explanation by Mr. Sharifi. I liked it a lot. Where something managers has come from. Mr. Yossi, the SWOT analysis, most of what we are talking in our business strategy class is by Michael Porter that I talked about. So this SWOT analysis is also one of his major, ideas. So that is very, very much related and relevant to what he said. environmental analysis? What are the differences between environmental analysis? Environmental analysis is basically part of your SWOT analysis. So you could put them differently, but environmental analysis will give you ideas about opportunities and threats, because environment is where you could find opportunities and threats. So basically, you do the environmental analysis first, and then from there, you will derive and come up with your opportunities and threats. How about an internal position of businesses and environment? And Mrs. Aragon is asking, how can we process and counterpart internal position of a business to an external environment? I'm not sure if I understand your question completely, but I believe you're asking how the internal forces or internal aspects of your company will boost up or create opportunities and threats. That's true, but basically your internal strengths are majorly internal, so they will give you more strengths in the future. What we mean by opportunities, and what I really am trying to help you, understand, is that opportunities are whatever is out there, and you can just pick them and make strengths from them. So basically, it's the other way around. And environmental analysis is not necessarily part of SWOT analysis, Mr. Barak, but it will give you some understanding to do your SWOT analysis. So there are different type of analysis, but SWOT analysis is mostly focusing on your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay. So very good discussion in the class. Yeah, if there's no other question, we'll move forward to this slide. Okay. So as I mentioned, like, external environmental analysis includes the process of scanning. As I mentioned, you have to be scanning what's going on in the market. It's not that you just wait there and then see what happens. You have to be on the lookout there. You have to be looking for those stuff so that you can find them and then react to them. You need to take the initiative to find those potential changes and trends in the environment. So it's not that they just happen to you. You need to be looking for them. Then monitor. You need to monitor the changes. And then, so first you scan them. Scan them means just generally looking for them and finding them out. But monitoring is basically how you see a trend and how you sort of try to implement those changes into your company, or try to be on a continuous basis kind of reaction to all those stuff that you find in the scanning. And then forecasting means projections and outcomes based on your monitored changes. So first you scan, you find out, then you monitor, and then you forecast. You make projections and plans according to what you monitor. And then assessing is the timing and significance of changes and trends on a strategic management of the firm. So assessing is probably what we call the next step, is like making actions to happen, or making action plans to be able to move forward. This is also very important. Is there any question on these different aspects of environmental analysis? Oh, yeah, sure, Mr. Sartella. So what I was trying to say, what part do you need explanation on? Which part you didn't understand? A projection. Oh, okay. By assessing, what I mean is, assessing is when you make action plans, when you make, you time your action plans and you start making strategic management plans for your firm. So, so it's like step 1, 2, 3, and 4. So first you generally scan, then secondly you monitor those stuff, because it's like, just suppose you're reading a book, right? You're studying a book, okay? So first, just reading the book is as if you're scanning for stuff in the book. Then when you come up with some understanding of what's going on, like reading through, you spot some certain stuff in the book that are like the theories and ideas of the book. So then you start monitoring and trying to see what those ideas will lead you into. Then, based of the understanding you get from those ideas, you start forecasting or looking forward to what you're going to do or how you're going to use them in the future, and what it's going to be like when you use those ideas. And by assessing means, finally, when you do that, how would you get results from that? How would you implement those ideas from the book? So that was just an example of reading a book. But now if you want to apply it into your industry, let's say you are in telephone industry. By scanning means you're scanning for certain potential or opportunity, or something that's going on outside your company in the environment. So you look through and you try to see what's the general trend out there, what's going on there, and then you start monitoring when you find certain trends out there. You see like people like fashionable touch phones. So that's something you spotted already. Then you implement it and try to forecast, like, okay, so when people like touch phones, how would we apply to our own telephone company? How would we respond to that? So you start forecasting. Okay, next year we come up with this type of touch phone. The year after with the other one, and then you start assessing and measuring and how to come up with the action plans to make it happen. So, so I hope that helps. And then I see Mr. Soleiman says SWOT was used by U.S. military. SWOT is used by is used a lot in many different industries. And then basically, as I mentioned in the first class, strategy is a war term. Basically, strategy is a lot of what we use in business strategy is taken from the idea of war strategies. So that's true. They use it in U.S. military and many other militaries also. They use it. Business developer. Yes, that's true. It's very important, Mr. Akmal. As a crucial tool to tackle enemies afterwards, it gained popularity in management. Yeah, as I mentioned, strategy is a war term, and Michael Porter and many other strategy gurus, they used a lot of war terms in business strategy. Okay. So then again, we just dig deeper into that by scanning, identifying early signals of environmental changes and trends. Monitoring is detecting meaning through ongoing observations of environmental changes and trends. And then forecasting means developing projections of anticipated outcomes based on monitored changes, and assessing, determining the timing and importance of environmental changes and trends from the firm's strategies and their management. So as you can see, it goes all the way, starts from scanning, monitoring, forecasting and assessing. So just further explanation to that. And now I'd like to ask you to do your task number 3. So your task number 3 is to write one strength one weakness, one threat. So now your task for today's class is to write one strength, one weakness, one opportunity, and one threat for the company that you have in mind. It could be an imaginary company, or it could be your own company or business. So basically, what I want you to do is to write it down, just so you can do some discussion, and then do that. So please try to focus on the fact that opportunities and threats are any kind of business. It could be some imaginary business, could be the business or industry that you're working at, or I would rather that you do it from your own company. That's the best, because you have a better understanding and you can give me better factual examples. So try to be specific. Don't be general, because that's why I'm giving you only one. But make sure it's it's very very exact, and it's something very factual. Don't give me like a very general answer. That's why I only asked you to do one, to make sure you get it right. And focus on the fact that the strengths and weaknesses are the internal part of your company, and opportunity and threat is like external part of your company. So that is also very important. Any questions so far? Anybody has any questions? Shall we write it? What you could do is, I would definitely invite some of you to share your answers with our class, and that's part of your class participation. And then definitely please email it to me by end of next day. So so what I would like you to do, you could, those of you who come up with that like earlier or as the first, you could share it with us, and then email me. And then to answer Ms. Aziza, it could be any company, but I would rather if it's your own company. Yes, by end of next day. So all your tasks is like, some of you are new to the class, so I just mentioned it again. I will give you a task every session, and your task, I want you to email it to me by end of next day. And then so the strengths and the government capacity, the weakness is lack of okay, for Mr. Barak's example, I'm going through your explanation, the commitment of the government and capacity. Like this is kind of general. So if you explain that like commitment of government in what sense, uh, like how the government is committing to help, uh, So and then the bigness, lack of follow up. This is okay. So but please be particular. Lack of follow up in what sense? Like a certain project, or with the government, or with their plan, or be specific. For SWOT analysis, as we mentioned earlier, it's very much about measurement. So when you talk of a general opportunity, it doesn't help that much because everybody sees that. When you say like economy is growing, it's general. We don't need that. We need something specific to be able to help you to move forward. That's what makes you, as a business person, as a person who's just studying MBA, different from somebody who's just looking at the market and comes up with some general idea. So what I expect you to do is to understand exactly what that opportunity is and be able to write it down in a sense that is understandable to everybody. So when you are presenting a SWOT analysis, when you are presenting it to me, it will be compelling enough for me to take that opportunity. If you just generally say that the government is just committed, doesn't make me move forward for any opportunity. Or when you say follow up, I don't understand like what necessarily follow up in what sense. So that's something to independent to support. Anybody wants to share his answer or her answer? And to answer Mr. Navabi's class, I have a question for the next class. It will be like 5 minutes or something, right? Yes, but I will start the next class right after we finish here, so that, but you could join me like in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So, Mr. Saib, the following business opportunities. So the budget department, okay. Strength, quality of management. Any organization succeeds, so it has an efficient and effective management. Okay, so regarding your strengths, Mr. Sahibzadeh, it's also quite general what you mentioned here. Because quality of management, what do we basically mean by quality of management is not known from here. Any organization is successful if it has an efficient and effective management structure. So what is an effective and efficient management structure? As I mentioned, please be specific And when you are giving examples of your own company, let me give you a good example. So let's say I'm working in a company, and that company, let's say I'm working in a bank, okay? So I want to write a SWOT analysis. So what is this a strength of my bank? If I want to just give one example, would be the bank that I work for. Their strength would be it's a very old bank, like the bank that I myself I'm attached to, is the oldest bank in the United States. So it being very old and having a very good relationship with the customers for a long term and a very strong image is one of the strengths of the bank that I work for. So that's a good strength. You see the long-term relationship with the customers, very good image, that's like specifically related to I'm not generally saying that like it's good for a bank to be good to customers. That's so general. I'm saying this specific bank has a very good image because of its oldness, it being the oldest bank, let's say, in the United States. So that's a good strength. The weakness, for example, would be it giving a very low interest rate compared to other banks. Because it's a conservative bank, it gives a very low interest rate, like comparably the lowest possible compared to other banks. So that's a weakness, because some customers, or most customers, they like better interest rates. Then opportunities would be because of the economy and like a lot of people losing their businesses. One of the opportunities is there are many people in need of loans. They need loans to pay off their debts and stuff. So loan and many loans needed in the market is one opportunity for the bank. And the threat would be the times and where the economy is doing so bad. Government is putting a lot of regulations against the banks, so it would be very difficult for the bank to give out those loans. I'm just trying to relate the opportunity and the threat here. So it's not as easy to give the loans as it was before, so it's much tougher because of the higher requirements. So that's a threat. So as you can see, I'm very specific and giving you exact examples of like a certain industry. So please follow the same format. Give me examples and facts. Don't generalize, like general management or nice budgeting and stuff like that is too general. Give me examples. Okay, this is better. Weakness: hiring unprofessionals. Okay, your weakness is good. Okay. Nations, political mission mandated by political mission mandated. Lack of tangible results, measurement tools, special government. Mr. DLC, your example is good. Only your strength is kind of general, like political mission. I'm sorry. Political mission mandated by security resolution. It's just some event, not necessarily a strength. Strength could be what does it give? Like that mandate, what kind of benefit or what kind of a strength does it give? So that could be a better example. No. Employees. News politics. Mm. 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 Technical aspect is good and avoid. Okay, Mr. Atarot, your example for strength is good. Lack of promotion. Okay, very good. Fear and weak competitors. Oh yeah. Yeah, I like your example, Mr. Atarot. It's good. Mm. Okay. Okay, very good. I see most of you got the idea, so that's pretty good. So please go ahead and email me by end of the next day your tasks. So if there is any question, is there any question for today's section? If there is not, we will go ahead and start the next class, and you know, I'll see you in the marketing class. Anybody has any questions? Okay. The break is only like 5 minutes. I'm going to start the next class, so I'll just take a break like 5 minutes and see you in the next class. Thank you. Thanks everyone, and see you in the market.